And we're live, a little choppy, but we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. My name is Ray. And I have no idea why suddenly everything is choppy. All right, there it goes. Clears up. I had to give it a second. This is episode 343. What? That's right. Episode 343 of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. My name is Ray. I am a bearded man of real estate. So thanks everyone for joining. Exciting show for you today. We're going to be talking about Compass rejecting Zillow. On the thumbnail, you saw actual text messages, possibly actual, maybe not. And y'all can join the conversation. I would love to hear what a lot of you guys have to say, especially any Compass haters that are out there. I need you to be in the show today. I need you to be telling me why Compass is still in the wrong here. It's hard when you have a Compass hater and you also were a Zillow hater. Where do you stand? So we're going to talk about Compass and Zillow. We also have a little bit of economic news, some climate change data news. We're talking about the California Association of Realtors and what some of the brokerages have done about referral fees. And then we just got the econ stuff. So we'll dive into the economic news, see what's happening around the nation. And I'm really hoping maybe there's something I can edit on my video settings. I'm going to check this out real fast. Nope. Video settings are fine. Every now and then it's choppy. I assume it's something with the internet, but we are broadcasting everywhere. We're broadcasting in so many different places. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, and Clubhouse. And if you want to join the show, and LinkedIn. I need to add LinkedIn to this crawl too. If you want to join the show, you could do that by just adding your comment. Then I could display your comment and talk about you, just like Olivier did. He said, now Zillow knows how we feel when clients reject us. So you can add your comment to the show there. I could display it. If you're on Instagram, I could just give you a shout out. I can't add your comment to the show, but I can give you a shout out. So thanks to all of you. I see you over there on Instagram. We have a new layout for Instagram. Hopefully this is a little bit better. It is like mega Ray face. So if you like my face, you'll love the Instagram live now. Because it's a lot. Okay. So thanks guys. All right. And if you want to add your voice to the show, you can also join us on Clubhouse. And I made a little bit.ly so it's easy for you guys to find. So if you're watching this live right now on YouTube and you're like, man, I just really wish I could say something about this live and have a conversation with Ray live, you can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/REN Clubhouse. That'll hit you with the Real Estate Networking Clubhouse. You'll see one live room in there right now. Just click join and you will join live. So there you go. And if you haven't noticed, I got some new assets are coming. I mean, isn't that neat? This is one of my favorites. Here it is right here. Hate the show, subscribe and hit that bell so you can hate it live. So if you've downloaded this podcast, you're like, this podcast is terrible. Be sure you find us on YouTube and subscribe and hit that bell so that you could be notified of when we go live, and then you can hate on the show live. Because there's nothing more fun than that for me. Okay. Well, without further ado, let's get into the show. The first thing we're going to cover is this spat. I'm going to call it a spat, but I think it's actually a huge deal between Robert Reffkin and Zillow. If you don't know, I think these guys are going to court. I don't think they've settled yet. Let me look. Nope. I don't see any kind of settlement news or anything like that. So they're going to court right now because Zillow said, hey guys, if you do this private marketing scheme, then what we're going to do is any properties that you have privately marketed off the MLS, we are not going to allow on Zillow's website. So now Zillow claims that the reason why they're doing this is because they want everyone to have access to all the properties. So it makes sense for them to then take properties off their website so people don't have access to certain properties, right? No, yeah, that's the way I felt too.
Zillow's not letting that listing on ever.
Yeah, Zillow's not letting that listing on ever. You're correct. Unless they have a new listing agreement with a new agent at a different brokerage. So even if you change agents within the same brokerage, that listing will never go on Zillow. That's wild. Shady. Wild. Okay. Let me display. All right, I've got the right view up here. Boom. All right, here it is. Robert Reffkin posted this on Facebook. I really thought it deserved more than just a Facebook post. Let me zoom into it. All right, his post on November 26th says, Zillow offered Compass an annual 1.3 to 1.6 billion revenue uplift, plus an offer to double end all Compass pre-marketed listings through Zillow, where Zillow would send every buyer lead to a Compass buyer agent that wasn't the Compass listing agent to ensure Compass was always on both sides of the transaction. Compass said no. No payout is worth compromising what we stand for, and we won't accept deals that force home sellers to market their home on someone else's terms. This is about choice versus control. And at Compass, we believe agents and their sellers deserve the freedom to decide how to market their home. Mic drop. That is huge. And for a lot of people that are saying, oh, Compass is just keeping properties off the market to be greedy to double end the deal, they could have double ended the deal right here with Zillow. So why didn't they do that if they're supposedly so greedy? So he posted several images. Oh, I need to back that thing up. Back that thing up. All right, there you go. He posted several images that kind of also tell part of the story here. So I'll read these images. These are for the audio listeners. It's just like a black background with white text. It says Compass rejects 2 Zillow deals, an annual 1.3 billion to 1.6 billion revenue uplift, quote unquote, and an offer to double end, quote unquote, and pre-marketed listings through Zillow. For everyone who claimed the 3-phase marketing strategy is about Compass's greed or double ending deals, I believe Compass agents deserve an apology. Zillow recently revealed that it tried to buy off Compass with an annual 1.3 billion or 1.3 to 1.6 billion revenue uplift and double ending deal in exchange for Compass eliminating agent and seller choice to pre-market off Zillow. So the reason why Zillow was offering this to Compass is just because they didn't want Compass to keep their listings off of Zillow. They were offering him $1.6 billion a year to not put their properties on their own private network. That's huge. Specifically, Zillow offered to send every lead to Compass buyer agent that wasn't the Compass listing agent so that Compass would be on both sides of every deal. Compass quickly and clearly said no to that offer because this was not about money. This is about right versus wrong. This is about seller choice versus platform control. Compass agents are our clients, and we are created Compass. Compass agents are our clients, and we created Compass private exclusives and Compass coming soons to give them more ways to serve their clients. Homeowners want more choices, not fewer. So there you go. I think this is huge. And I'm wondering, it said Zillow revealed this. Why did Zillow reveal this? This was definitely not a good look. So why did Zillow put this out there showing that they offered Compass such a sweetheart deal? Now, Zillow is also in the news recently because I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago. maybe it was a week ago. No, last week was, by the way, the behind the scenes show. But I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about how Zillow Zillow is basically saying, hey, flex agents will give you the best leads if you are sure to tell people about our marketing service or about our mortgage services and send people there, and we're going to keep score so that we could track how well you do at that. So I think this is different from that, because it's not a quid pro quo of, hey, Compass, we're going to offer you $1.6 billion to list your properties on our website and also offer mortgage services to your clients. That's not what they're doing here. This is totally separate, totally different from that scenario. They're just saying, we're going to offer you $1.6 billion to not put your property on your own network and put it on ours instead. But it just goes to show you that Zillow needs Compass more than Compass needs Zillow. And that's why Compass is in this really, really strong position. One more thing to see if I can display it here. No, I guess that's it. I thought there was one more image on this from Robert, but that was it. All right. So is this a big deal or no? I haven't heard anyone talk about this. I haven't seen anyone post about this. And are they not talking about it because it kind of flies in the face of what everyone presumed Compass's motivation was behind everything they said they were going to do? Or are they not talking about it because it's really not a big deal? I feel like this is a big deal. And it also shows a big loss on Zillow, that they couldn't get this done. They couldn't get this deal done. No, I got no comments about it. So fine. Anyone on Clubhouse want to chime in? Is this a big deal or not? Am I making this a bigger deal? I don't see anyone talking about it. The comments aren't lighting up about it, but I feel like it's a big deal.
I mean, we're getting a little worn out. Tell us when it's over. Tell us when it's over. Tell us what we got to do, and
That's
we'll
funny.
move on. I mean, it's a big deal. It is shocking that this wasn't at least just at least portrayed from a PR standpoint, that somebody leaked it. I mean, it seems a little bit idiotic to let this news out.
Yeah.
When you're the one with your hand in the cookie jar. I don't know.
And I don't see it like, I thought for sure Broke Agent Media would be talking about this. For sure they would be talking about Refkin's post. But also, interesting. It was also Thanksgiving. So the 26th, that was like the day before or the day of. So, I mean, it was a really slow news week. So maybe that's why people just haven't picked it up. I don't know. I just thought it's a huge deal and a huge loss. As a matter of fact, that's where our thumbnail comes from. I am proud of the thumbnail. I'm going to show you the thumbnail. I think this is hilarious.
I would think unintended consequence from Zillow is that, Refkin is like Superman, leaping tall buildings in a single bound now.
Yeah. And he has the biggest company. Now, maybe that was what did it, But as you can see on the thumbnail, we have the leaked text between Waxman and Compass's CEO, Refkin. And you see the name that Refkin gave Jeremy. I mean, I don't know how we got this leaked text message, but his name is Jeremy Zillow. And you can see Jeremy offers want 1.6B revenue uplift and double in your pre-marketing listings through Zillow. And Refkin says, nah, we're good. And then he realizes it's a green text and he says, ooh, droid. And Waxman says, well, we're a tech company, so. And Refkin says, LOL, okay. So I don't know how we got those text messages, but there you go. It's so stupid. It's stupid, but it's funny. It's funny to me. Okay, let's go on. We'll move on. It's another Zillow thing. And I think we saw this coming a long way away. I think we saw this coming years ago, as a matter of fact, because I remember talking about it. And I remember talking about how I don't think this would last, because if they can't get estimations of your home value right, how are they ever going to get estimations of climate data? So here you go. Zillow reverses course and removes climate data from listings. The portal announced last year that listings would begin showing climate data from, was it only last year? I feel like it was longer than that. I think they announced it longer than that, but then put it on last year. Now, however, Zillow has pivoted so that instead listings just feature a link to First Street's website, who's the provider of this climate data, quote unquote. So just a year after Zillow started publishing climate risk data on home listings, the portal has reversed course and removed the data, according to their new report. What I thought was fascinating about this was the risk of exposure to a lawsuit. Maybe that's why they have reversed course on it. I just felt like if you're putting something out there about someone's house and it's not for sure, you better be ready for the lawsuit. Christopher G. Oh, Christopher G. What's up? Christopher G 7983 says sneaky post. I guess you're talking about the compass on Thanksgiving, right?
I like the phonetically sounding out of Christopher's name.
It took me a minute to figure out it was Christopher. I don't know why.
Reading from teleprompter.
Christopher. Maybe it's Christopher, like is in Ferguson. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. So back to the climate data. We warned about this as soon as they were talking about it, because we said, you're just asking someone to sue you, because the first time it's revealed that someone didn't buy a house because of what Zillow had on their website about climate data, that the home was in a high risk area and something should happen years down the road. And so this person doesn't buy their dream home. And then years down the road, nothing happens. You have a lawsuit from the buyer and you have a potential lawsuit from the seller when they find out, because people talk, right? So they find somebody in the city and they're like, oh yeah, you live in that house. You've been trying to sell that for years, right? Well, we didn't buy it 10 years ago because it said that it was at a risk, this huge climate risk. I mean, somebody's getting sued. You can't even have a neighbor come out there and say negative stuff without threats of lawsuits. So, I think you guys can see this over on, let me see if I can zoom in a little more for the Instagram crowd. I care, guys. I care. Okay. The report from the New York Times revealed that Zillow began removing climate data from the listing sometime in November. The move reportedly came in response to complaints from the California Regional Multiple Listing Service, which questioned the climate data's accuracy. According to the Times, agents also complained that the climate data information hurt sales. In a statement to Inman, Monday, a Zillow spokesperson said that the portal remains committed to providing consumers with information that helps them make informed real estate decisions. We updated our client risk product experience to adhere to varying MLS requirements and maintain a consistent experience for all consumers. Okay. Ensuring that buyers, Art Carter, CEO of CRMLS, told him in a statement that ensuring the buyers have access to accurate information about a home listed for sale is an important goal of CRMLS. And as a result, we regularly audit real estate portals that use of the CRMLS listing data for accuracy. I feel like they should remove estimates then, right? Wasn't the, what was the guy's name? The former CEO of Zillow, wasn't his estimate off by 40% or something crazy? So yeah. Okay, I see when I camera switch is when it starts to get choppy, and then it kind of fixes itself. I don't know why. I don't know why that's happening, guys. Sorry. But then now it's good. So, but it does tend to happen when I upscale the camera. So I don't know. I feel like I need to back up for the Instagram group. Sorry guys, it's very face forward over there. Lucky you guys. Okay. Lucky y'all. What's up, Cindy? Cindy says Schwartz. It wasn't Greg Schwartz. He was like the COO or biz dev guy. It was hang on. CEO of Zillow. I should put former. What's the guy's name? It wasn't Raskoff. Rich Barton. That's who I'm thinking of. Rich Barton. Okay. Let's take a look at the California Association of Realtors. So the other hot topic we've been talking about in the industry section is what's going to happen with referrals. Because as you know, there's a lot of news regarding referrals, how referral fees are done currently, because there's lawsuits right now against Zillow and the Zillow Flex product for multiple reasons. And one of those reasons is that there's no disclosure to the consumer that the person who comes to that agent through a Zillow Flex product has to pay that agent 40, 30%, whatever it is. So because there's no disclosure there, some say that it is artificially inflating how much the buyer pays their real estate agent because of that referral fee, and it should be disclosed. Similar to the big lawsuit that real estate agents had, where there was no disclosure that the seller was paying the buyer's agent. It's basically the same suit on a different side of the transaction. So I'm very curious if it's actually going to go through, number one. But number two, I'm curious how the industry will evolve because of this situation. And we've been asking on the show if you give a disclosure whenever you send a referral to someone, because there's actually a lot of This Week in Real Estate referrals that are passed around. The way it usually happens, to be honest, is somebody reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I have a referral for this area. And I look for somebody that's in my network and watching the show. Those people that are like, hey, I watch your show, I remember you. And I try to look you up and see what area you are. So when someone says, I'm looking for someone for Raleigh, if you're in Raleigh listening to the show, you need to say, hey. Okay. Anyway, when that happens and you get that referral, are you disclosing to the buyer that there is a referral fee that the agent you're sending them to is going to pay them? And if not, should you? If you don't disclose that, should you disclose that? Well, if you don't want to be sued, it's probably a good idea to reduce your exposure to risk. And one of the ways to do that is to over disclose. Well, that's what the California Association of Realtors is leaning towards. So they're leaning into referral fee transparency. So they issued a statement on it. One of the biggest realtor associations in the U.S. is jumping into the referral debate just days after a group of realtors rejected to change NAR's code of ethics that would have required more thorough referral fee disclosures. The California Association of Realtors said in a statement on Friday that it supports broad disclosure of such fees and plans to update its forms accordingly. So the 190,000 member California Association of Realtors said it would revise a form next month to enhance language regarding referral fees and provide a standardized way to make these disclosures. And you guys know my fear and I guess the dodge that I think groups like Zillow are going to get away with is just an end user agreement. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, if you use this website, read our TOS, and in the TOS, buried in there, it's going to say, there's potential that the agent we send you to is going to have to pay us a referral fee from this price to this price. I hope they're required to do more than that, but I fear that they won't be. I think if the National Association of Realtors did require disclosure for referrals, it would have made all of these banks that have a real estate company inside of it, they would have to disclose the referral fee that the bank is paying them or they're paying to the bank. The builders that have referral stuff set up, they would have to disclose it. So if NAR had done that, it would have created a lot of changes that probably would have kept people out of court. But I think this is going to be a heyday for people in the next year or so, just to go bonkers and try to sue as much as you can before this rules change. I mean, why not? You just won this lawsuit on the other side by sellers not disclosing or listing agents not disclosing they were paying buyer agents. It's the same thing, isn't it? But I think NAR didn't do it because you have big groups like, I don't know, Zillow, that's a member of NAR. And so if NAR made that decision, then Zillow would also have to change how they operate or start to disclose. It would have been very interesting. All right, let's keep reading. California Association of Realtors has long championed compensation transparency, especially when it comes to real estate transaction referral fees, especially after November or what was it, August 17th of last year. I did that part. CAR President Tamara Saminsky said in a statement, CAR has always led the way in demonstrating public trust by supporting full disclosure of referral fee arrangements and advising its members accordingly. So the proposed amendment to Article 6 of the Code of Ethics passed the full NAR Board of Directors just minutes before it failed to pass the delegate body. The full board, which is made up of around 900 realtors, voted 84% in favor. The vote required 2/3 of the delegate body to vote in favor, and the amendment narrowly fell short. Huh. Who are the delegates that were there? That's crazy. I feel like, especially in this environment, don't you want to not get sued, guys? I feel like it's a good idea to not get sued. All right, whatever. It's your court. You also see some brokerages, and I talked about this in the behind the scenes show last week, but you also see some brokerages that are already starting to make these changes. So among them, EXP, the big brokerages and realtor organizations are moving to enact their own policies in favor of broad disclosure of referral fees in the wake of an inaction by a group of local real estate leaders. EXP Realty and Benchmark Realty both announced this week they are enhancing their requirements for agents to disclose. I mean, you're going to see a bunch more of that. There's probably every legal team and every brokerage currently in existence right now has legal figuring out the best way to couch and disclose this and to require their agents to disclose this in a way that won't make agents who built a business just doing referrals jump ship. That's what they're trying to figure out. How can we require the disclosure, and also these 5% of people that are in our company that only do referral business, they get to keep their business and it won't interrupt their business too much by requiring this additional form of disclosure. That's what I'm betting. Because it's just not, even if they had to let go of that business, they probably would be. It's not worth that to be sitting in court again. Sitzer Burnett, anyone? Anyone? Okay. That's all I got on the industry T. Let's move to the economy. The typical retail worker earns $37,000 less than they need to afford a typical apartment. The typical retail worker, $37,000 less a year than they need to afford an apartment. However, there are also articles that we see that talk about the rent rates on multifamily are starting to plummet. So this is bound to correct itself as more and more people can't afford to live there, but you need full rent. You need more people in. You're bound to adjust some prices. So the article is on Redfin. You can see the charts here, the typical retail worker, the typical monthly rent, how it's gone up since 2021. It really started to kind of go up towards that $1,400 a month average in 2019, 2020. It did dip in 2021, and then it just skyrocketed. So it is up to $1,779 in October. That is 1,000. Let's see, what is that? Roughly $300. Yeah, roughly three or $400 higher than it was a couple of years ago. That's a pretty steep increase. I'd love to see the whole chart. I'd love to see what this looked like for like the last 20 years, just to have a more basis for comparison. It is interesting, the retail worker median wages. You can see the wage just get bumped and up. So that is also going up. I mean, that went from, that's crazy. Annual wages for a median worker right now is $25,000. That's seems low. $25,000. Oh, that's not right now. That is in 2019. Right now, I mean, sit down because it's way higher. $34,400. So it went up $10,000. That's pretty wild. What's the percent increase in that? I'm going to do some fast math because I'm curious. In the last, since 2021, rent was we'll go easy math, 1350. We'll say 1350. It's like 1354 or whatnot. And it's currently 1780. Okay. 1780 minus 1350 is 430. So 430 divided by 1350 is a 32% increase. All right. And then we have a $25,000. We're just going to do easy math again here. 25,000 up to, did we say it was $10,000 increase? 34. All right, let's go $9,000 increase. So we have 9,000 divided by 25,000, 36. So the rent has gone up 32%. The incomes have gone up 36%. So it really wasn't much different. Oh, wait, hang on. I got to give it a year of growth. Let me adjust that. It's up 8,000. So it's 8,000. It's 32%. Oh, okay. Huh. Rent's up 32%. Income is also up 32%. Is this a Nothing Burger article? I mean, we just did the math. It sounds like it's gone up in proportion to the median annual wages. Ironically, though, it's got this chart in the middle that says typical rent needed from 2021 to today. And that seems to have gone up a higher, let's test that, a higher percentage. So it's 54,000 to 71,000. So we have 71 minus 54. So $17,000 increase. So 17,000 divided by 54,000. And that's a 31%, 31.5% increase. So roughly 32%. So it kind of sounds like they've all gone up the same. So maybe another article headline for this for Redfin would be like, nothing's changed since 2021. Because I mean, it's when you say the number, it sounds really crazy. And maybe in 2021, they still needed $50,000 and now they need $70,000. But that's still the same. That's a 31% increase, which is the same. It's all the same. What are we doing? Am I looking at this incorrectly? I think I'm looking at it correctly. Cindy said, but the price of everything else went up. Yes. Now that is a different thing. The price of everything else went up. You are absolutely right. So what that means is that they have less money per month to devote to rent because everything else is higher. That is true. During the COVID administration, stuff went up 9%. Inflation was crazy. Now inflation's back down to 2%, but it's what we talk about all the time. Home price gains slow, right? We see this home price gains slow. And people are like, oh no, home prices are crashing. They're not crashing. They're just slow. They're still going up. They're just going up at a slower rate. And that's what's happening with everything. That's what inflation is. You don't want deflation. You don't want everything to crash in price, because that'd be a very different issue and situation. But yeah, I think what Cindy said is more of the story. Okay. Let's take a look at our next article. Rising home prices, economic volatility, curb would-be buyers' appetites lead up to Thanksgiving. So U.S. home prices are increasing. Mortgage rates ticked up last week after dipping to the lowest level in a year. Rising costs and widespread financial uncertainty are causing house hunters to retreat. Also the holiday, but I'm sure they did the seasonal adjustment there. But yeah, we're seeing it slow right now everywhere, I think. I'm going to pull this article forward. Let's take a look at this one. Mortgage rates finally moved lower last week, but that didn't do much for demand. After rising for several weeks, mortgage rates moved decidedly lower last week. So this article came out today, by the way, but not enough to make much of a difference in demand from current borrower or potential home buyers. The mortgage application volume fell 1.4% for the week, but most of that fall came from refi. Joel Kahn, the vice president and deputy chief economist at the Mortgage Bankers Association, said mortgage rates moved lower in line with treasury yields, which declined on data showing weaker labor market and declining consumer confidence. Applications to purchase a home rose 3% for the week and were 17% higher than the same week a year ago. I just think what a different article it would be if you led with that headline. Applications to purchase a home were 17% higher than the same week a year ago. If that was right here, this whole article would have a very different feel, wouldn't it? And that feels like more newsworthy and clickbaity, because everyone's going to see mortgage rates are lower, it didn't do much for demand. Everyone's going to see that, and they have been seeing that for week after week after week, and it's just kind of what what Jack said earlier about the whole Zillow thing. We're getting tired of it, and it becomes a non-story when you don't see the movement. But if they were to take this phrase, applications rose 3% and were 17% higher than the same week a year ago. Just that, applications to purchase a home were 17% higher than the same week a year ago. This issue right here with consumer confidence would start to go away, because people would see that people are still buying a house. It's good time because you can actually get a really good deal on a property right now. It's a great time to purchase a home.
Especially since it's December. My feeling is everybody's Christmas shopping, and serious buyers are out there and serious sellers. So, yeah.
I agree, Mia. All right. Yeah, it is. Somebody just texted me and said, very interesting. if you're watching the show, I can't display your text. I could talk about it, but you just comment on the show. It's fine too. Okay. Let's take a look. Buyer regret. Buyer regret has been something that we've been tracking for a while because maybe it was during the COVID era. We started to see the buyer regrets, and we started to see more talk about the buyer regret because people were purchasing homes with no contingencies. Like, hey, we won't even inspect it, and we'll pay you $100,000 more than you have it listed. We just have to get this house, and we have to get it with our 3% mortgage rate. And then shortly after that, we started seeing lots of reports that talked about buyer regret and how buyers were not too happy with the decision they made to purchase. So, wow, Instagram is way behind. You're way behind over on Instagram over there. Sorry, guys. So let's check out buyer regret. Buyer regret took a steep drop in 2025. New data shows why. Buyer remorse is finally cooling along with the housing market. That's one of the biggest takeaways from Realtor.com's new 2025 Consumer Attitudes and Usage Study, which show a sharp decline in how many recent buyers feel they overpaid or made the wrong decision. The big story is the drop in regret around price. The share of buyers who believe they paid too much fell from 15% in 2023 to 8% in 2025. At the same time, buyers reporting no regrets increased from 31% to 37% in 2025. With homes sitting on the market a median of 63 days in October 2025, which is 13 days longer than October of 2023, buyers have more time to evaluate and avoid snap decisions. The most common regrets experienced in 2025, 16% reported more home maintenance. Yeah. 15% had to spend more on household items than anticipated. Well, that was back to what Cindy said earlier, how everything is increased in price, right? So everything's gone up in price. So that could be partly due to inflation. 14% said their savings account was empty after closing. Whoa. 11% said they faced higher ownership cost, which is 5 percentage points lower than 2023. 10% worried about rising interest rates and future payments. 10% worried about rising interest rates, and yet they've locked in a 30-year mortgage. I bet these 10% may be those that got the ARM. 9% felt the home was not in the condition they expected. We do hear that a lot. 9% said they rushed their decision. Don't hear that as much now. I know this is supposedly right now, but we don't hear that. 9% said the house was too small. 8% said they paid too much, a 7-point improvement from 2023. 8% wish they'd completed an inspection. Wow. You still have 8% of people purchasing a home and not doing an inspection and wishing they would have? That's crazy. 8% wish they would have asked for buyer contingencies. Yeah, they probably found out later. 8% said they did not consider external factors like noise, traffic. It's up 4 points from 2023. Older buyers feel more confident while younger buyers face more surprises. 60% of boomers said no regrets. 45% of Gen X said zero regrets. 34% of millennials said no regrets. 27% of Z said zero regrets. That's interesting. Usually, I mean, you would think that the younger you are, the less you would regret stuff like that. Maybe it's just a different understanding of regret. I don't know. That's interesting. Because you would think that you have less regret when you're younger because you have more time to correct it. Right? So when you have more regret when you're older because you have less time, or maybe you're just making a more responsible decision when you're older, or a more informed decision when you're older. And so you're more confident in that decision. So that's probably more likely. But that's interesting. All right, and then they have some more general data points. Go check out the full article on Broke Agent Media. And this may be one reason why people have fewer regrets now. is because prices are not what they used to be. Prices are also going down. There's price cuts everywhere. It's like Black Friday deals right now in real estate. So if you're not telling your clients, be sure to tell your clients. This is a great article to send them. Record price cuts are hitting the housing market according to new Zillow data. So Zillow's new analysis shows the typical October listing price was reduced by $25,000. And we talked, I'm not going to sit on this article very long because we did talk about this, I think 2 shows ago, maybe 3 shows ago when the Zillow report originally came out. We already covered it. But I don't want to mention it because now it's in an article from Broke Agent Media and it's easy to share, do a little green screen action. Zillow's newest analysis, I've already said that. The combination is rare in recent years, is reshaping expectations on both sides of the table. Sellers are adjusting their pricing strategies in real time. Buyers who've been waiting for months to finally see numbers moving their direction. Let's see, national pricing trends are shifting. Yeah. Okay. Everything else we've already covered, so I'm not gonna sit on it very long. And there's nobody commenting tonight, so I'm just gonna move on to the next one. We have construction labor crunch drives up cost and deepens American housing affordability crisis. Yeah, we all know we need more inventory, even though we have more inventory coming on the market. It is kind of a weird place. I feel like if the rates were to dip into a 5% range, we would sell out so fast because we just don't have inventory at a 5% interest rate. At a 6+% interest rate, we have plenty of inventory. But in order to drive down cost, specifically new construction cost, there needs to be more new construction inventory. And that's hard right now due to labor. So as prices, U.S. simply doesn't have enough skilled labor workforce to build the homes that buyers want and need. Now, this is really great news for people that want a job. Because what this is saying is that if you take the time to learn a skill, you could have a good job that's going to last you a long time. And I don't care where you stand on the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, etc. But there are a lot of people saying that, well, illegal immigrants are in this country. They're doing things like building houses for us. So who's going to build houses if the illegals move and leave the country? Well, I mean, hopefully that would give opportunities for Americans. You can't be pro, we need to increase our incomes around the world and around the country, and also pro illegal immigration. That doesn't make sense because there's always going to be somebody that undercuts you and takes money under the table in that scenario. So you, in order to increase the amount of money that people make from a job like skilled labor, you have to have less labor force to do it so that it is in more demand. And the more demand it is, the more people will pay for it. Now, that's also going to increase some of the new construction prices. It's just what's going to happen. But then you're going to be in a position where a retail home might be cheaper than a new construction home and a much better deal because of the amount of inventory of the retail home or the resale home versus the new construction home. And that's a really good position for everyone to be in, because that means that the reseller, due to the lack of other inventory and how much those new construction homes are going to have to be in order to sell, there's a disparity there. And there should always be a disparity there. You shouldn't be able to buy a brand new home for the same price that you could buy a home that's 10 years, 20 years old. That brand new home should be a little more. So I think that's what you're going to see is happen. The new construction homes are going to have to go up in price to pay for things like, labor. I don't think that's bad. I think it's okay. What's more, the National Association of Home Builders estimates the industry will need to hire nearly 723,000 workers per year just to keep pace with demand. And that's wonderful. If we had any other business out there that was like, guys, we're going to have to hire 723,000 people a year just to keep up with the demand for our product, everyone would be celebrating this. We would say that's wonderful to have a business in America that requires so much labor force and activity, and you're going to have a good job. Like nursing is in huge demand. So it's great because maybe, just maybe, they could pay off the inflated student loans because they're going to be in such demand.
Yeah, I just, increases, decreases. I just struggle on what is the basis of the analysis, and where are those jobs needed? Location wise,
like around the country. Yeah, that's interesting.
And there's because what we're dealing with now for inventory levels in my market is 50% of our all-time low before the pandy.
Wow.
And buyer remorse. Well, 6 years ago, you didn't call it buyer remorse. You called it a regular market where people had home inspections, and sometimes the deal stayed together and sometimes the deal didn't stay together.
Yeah.
In the flurry of the overheated market, and that's probably the best consideration point here is that, if we're comparing to the overheated market of 3 years ago, then, how valid is that based upon what happened 10 years and what would happen in a more normal market?
Yeah. So here you're speaking to the disconnect that is in our very next article. It's almost like you saw the whole rundown, which I know you did. But check this out. New construction price premiums drop to record low 10.2%. So this is the curiosity, is that everyone is saying we need more inventory, and in order to maintain that inventory, we need to hire 720,000 new workers a year for the next some odd years. But in the same breath, builders are having to offer concessions and discounts, and the premium has gone down, and special financing. So do we have too much inventory or don't we? And it's confusing. So a year ago, most buyers didn't think they could afford a brand new home. In many markets, that's no longer true. Prices on newly built homes are closer to existing homes than any other time on record. So are they going to be raising the prices for labor right now and paying people more and then having to raise the price for the home? And they just haven't done that yet? According to a new Realtor.com analysis, builders are closing the affordability gap through competitive pricing and financing incentives that directly target buyers' roadblocks. Well, it's like you said, Jack, where? What part of the country is this happening? Because I see it happening in our part of the country. This is what I see. I see builders offering all kinds of stuff to get stuff under contract. And they're selling way below where they thought they would sell. Actually, to be frank, they're selling where I told them they would sell. They're selling a house where I said, when I first did my initial calculations for them, the house is probably going to sell in this range. And they're like, no. We're going to start way up here. We're going to try to do this, try to do that. I'm like, all right, it's a new build. Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. But to be frank, they're closing right at what I told them they would close at. I'm looking up one right now that it's still under contract and hadn't closed. It's been under contract forever. It's been under contract for almost 50 something days. And they're priced still. He's priced around $30,000 over what I told him it would sell for. Interesting. So I'm confused by what's happening in new construction, because the home builders are saying we need more laborers and we need more laborers so that we can build more supply, and we've got to do the supply. And then you have builders using financing incentives to drive demand. Well, which is it? Makes no sense. And whenever I'm seeing numbers like this, it just tells me that it's going to be local. All this stuff is going to be local. It's going to depend on your area. So you can't really look at the national numbers and figure it out, but you can look at the national numbers and know what your clients are reading and know how they may feel. I mean, depending on which one of these articles, they're going to be excited about new construction. You know, if they happen to see, they're probably not reading Broke Agent Media, but if they happen to see the realtor.com analysis that Broke Agent Media looked into, they may be excited about new construction and trying to get a good deal on it. And if you're in an area that is not offering deals on new construction, you need to be aware of it. Maybe send them the Fox News article talking about how tough right now it is for home builders and how there are a bunch of corporates that are culprits that are raising the price for home builders. Right? I mean, that's the, you would just go here, battle headline with headline. But the key is for you to be the professional and know what's happening so that you can help your client out. Right? I think that's the key. Teresa, what's up, Teresa? I've heard from plumbers and electricians that they are short manpower right now, as many have retired with not a lot of the younger generation working in the field. That is so true. You do see that a lot with that type of work where there's not as many people with the skills. But that's again why Mike Rowe, who's the Dirty Jobs guy, Mike Rowe has been saying for years that the skilled labor is going to be the doctors and lawyers of the future, that they are the ones that are going to be making the money because they're going to be in such demand. And if you don't believe me, go try to hire an electrician to come out and look at something today. Unless you have a relationship with that electrician and that electrician knows you, they're going to say, actually, I'm a couple of weeks out. So I would love for a buyer or seller to call me today and be like, you know what? I'd love to help you, but I am a couple of weeks out. You're going to have to see houses with me in 2 or 3 weeks from now because I'm just booked. So thanks for joining over on Facebook, Teresa. Well, the other thing that's happening that's confusing in a market where, I guess it's not confusing in a market where there's a lot of buyers. It is kind of a buyer's market. But there are also a lot of deals that are falling through. Are you guys seeing that in your area? 15% of home purchases fell through in October. That's up slightly from a year earlier. The high was 16% in March of 2020. That was when COVID was announced. That was a peak just right then. Well, we have gone back down, and then it has wiggled its way up and down several times, and now back up to 15%. This is based on Redfin's analysis of MLS pending sales data. The data is seasonal, which is why we compared this October to past Octobers. So please note that homes fell out of contract during a given month didn't necessarily go under contract in the same month. So San Antonio has the highest rate of cancellations. Oh, my San Antonio friends, what's up? They have the highest rate of cancellations right now. Anaheim is at 15.6. Let's see, who's the highest? Can I sort by highest right now? The lowest is Nassau County, New York, San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland, and Milwaukee, and Montgomery County, PA, and New York. The highest are San Antonio at 21%, Fort Lauderdale at 20, Fort Worth at 19, Las Vegas at 19, Jacksonville at 19, Tampa at 19, Orlando 19, Atlanta 18. So, yeah, a lot of stuff falling out.
Are we thinking those markets are softer markets? I mean, Florida woes seem to continue. And the other part of it is, you know, I mean, if you've only been in the business for 5 or 6 years, I don't know how comfortable you are in bringing a regular, more normal buyer through the marketing or through the process of the journey of hey guys, we're going to keep kissing frogs, and we're going to find out what the bigger check boxes are for you. You're not buying a new house. Just the pace of it all is something that a lot of the agents that are in the market don't have any experience with.
Keep kissing frogs. That's good. We call it bulletproofing the transaction. That's a lot of it too. That there's a lot of people that go under contract, a lot of agents that go under contract, but they haven't bulletproofed the transaction. They didn't meet with their buyer to tell them that the inspector is going to make them feel like they're buying a pile of rubble. And they didn't say that in reality, it doesn't matter what SCAP the appraisal says about value. He's looking at it for the bank, that they could still bring money to the table and close if they'd like. Right, SCAP? So there's a lot of the bulletproofing the transaction that doesn't take place these days. And that could be part of it. It could be the lack of skill. But also, I think there's a lot of agents that have left the business or on the way out of the business that aren't really actively working right now. So I don't know how much of that is lack of skill and how much of it is just buyers can be choosy right now because there's so much on the market. Terry said, I'll hardly ever look at the chat on Clubhouse, but I noticed yours because it popped up. They have a different display on it now. And she said, and people are shocked at their fees. What do you mean they're shocked at the fees? Like as they close, they're shocked about
this? About fees for electricians and plumbers. And, put a deck on my house or whatever. They're absolutely astounded by how much that costs.
Well, that could be part of it too. Like you have a house that needs some work and you get the inspection back and then you go and look at the cost of doing the work. And I think that is part of it in a roundabout way, merging those two conversations we had. We've had clients that have been shocked at how much stuff cost. And I have been shocked at how much they said that stuff cost. Because I was like, wait a minute, what? That's 10 times what it used to cost. But yeah. That's where they're at now. What's up, Matt? Matt LaMarche is here, so he should probably end the show. Matt said, I'm rage baiting old agents by telling them I was born when they got their license.
Yeah. Jack, I was having a microaggression when he said people that have only been in the business for 5 or 6 years, because I don't think the time in the business determines how good you are or are not in the business. I can appreciate the sentiment as far as like what the market looks like, but to me, if you're running a good business and you've been in the business for the last 5 or 6 years, like I think you still know how to navigate this market or a changing market. But I'm willing to be judged for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was nothing against time in the business. It's more experience in different situations. And when there's 23 listings in my town now, but I've dealt with a market with 120 listings in my town on the market, it's experience that you can't buy.
That makes sense.
No, I know. All you people in Massachusetts just think you're better than us.
Yeah. Should we talk about the Patriots now?
Oh boy, here we go.
We talk about my Bears.
Sorry about your Falcons, by the way.
They're not even worth talking about.
You brought it up, man.
Bears going all the way. Just want to throw that out there. For sure. No, I think there is something to be said for experiencing keeping deals together. But you could also be, newer in the business and still have that experience. It's just using that experience. There's far fewer agents in the business now. I think there's actually more right now. During COVID, like in the last 3 years, there were far fewer agents that could do it. But I think when buyers are picky, they're just going to be able to cancel more deals and run over to this other house and buy it. I think that's what it is. I mean, there's more inventory to choose from. Why should they put up with the seller who says they're not going to do anything and there's no negotiation for the inspection? And these 3 other properties came on the market and I'm interested in those. See you later. So I think that's the warning to the seller, is that anytime you disagree with the buyer in a transaction, it's an opportunity for them to go buy another house, like it or not. That's where we are. So Well, guys, that is all I've got for the show today. So thanks everyone for joining me. You can find me at Ray Zorback. I think I have a thing for this. I do. Look at that. Follow Ray Zorback. That's RayZorback over on Instagram. I appreciate the follow there. And also, if you're watching the show live, remember, and if you hate the show, maybe you've made it all the way to the end of the show and you're like, this is the worst show ever. Be sure you subscribe and hit that bell so that you can hate on the show live. There's no better substitution than actually live hate. So I love it. I love it. I love it. And we're also on your favorite podcatcher. Thanks to all the podcast listeners. You guys make it to the end of the show more than anyone else. So even if you're like, oh, really? Do I? Because I just keep listening and not listening, listening, not listening as you're commuting or whatever. Yes, the podcast listeners make it to this part of the show more than anyone else that watches it live. Actually, as a percentage, the Clubhouse folks are the highest because they just listen to the whole room and they're there and actually in the show and they're still there. So Clubhouse people win as a percentage, as a per capita. But the number of listeners that make it all the way to the end of the show on the podcast is way higher than anyone else. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for being there.
Well, it's like an after party, basically.
It is like an after. Well, it's a very short after party, but it's an after party over there. And if you're wondering how you can add your voice to the show, I did make a bit.ly link. If you missed that at the beginning of the show, I'll try to put it in the description, but there it is. It's bit.ly/REN Clubhouse, all lowercase, one word. So bit.ly/REN Clubhouse. And we'll hear your voice on the show. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining. I'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.